Hi guys, welcome to Designing Dreams in the Haas. I'm your host, Tyler Swartzmiller, and principal designer and owner of Haas Studio. Through this series, we're going to be talking through industry standards in kitchen and bathroom. We'll be talking with remodelers, we'll be talking with contractors, installers, reps, homeowners, architects, and everybody really involved in the kitchen and bathroom industry. The goal of this podcast is really to see insight into what they do and learn throughout the whole process. So join us today, greeting our first guest, Tia Kellner.
Hi, Tyler. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited to be here.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
What a great idea.
Yeah, I've been wanting to do this for a while, so it's taken some time to really pull it together, but I'm excited to really bring in new people and talk to people in the industry and just really see, how they get in it, what are things they've learned, and just really share their information. I think that's one thing that I've learned being a young designer is going to people that have been in the industry for a long time and can give me knowledge. You know, knowledge really is power. And if I can just take a little bit of what you know and put it in my brain, I become even more powerful when it comes to what I do.
Yes, I have a lot in my brain. So
Yes.
I can't wait to
just spew it out on us.
Blurt it all out on these lovely microphones.
Yeah. So I guess that would be the first thing. How did you get in the industry? What was your first tiptoe in the industry?
Well, I was probably 7 years old, and my mom would drag me to the Homoramas in Dayton, Ohio. And I loved it. And back then, they were spectacular. They threw everything in there. So we would go every year, my mom and I, and we would walk these houses. And from there, I started drawing floor plans. And I just always found it fascinating. I had no idea how to even make that work when I was in high school because I grew up in a small town.
Yeah.
But once I went to Ohio State, I was like, okay, let's see if I'm still interested in that. I kind of made a detour. I went to art history, and I really wanted to be one of those fabulous gallery owners.
Ooh.
So that's what I really wanted to do.
Yeah.
But when I was at Ohio State, I started interning for MI Homes.
Okay.
And the rest is history. I graduated in 1994, and my manager at MI said, hey, we're coming up with this idea of a design center. And we know your background is art, and you've done such a great job. Would you be interested in just working part-time? Because this was absolutely a new idea, and they didn't know if it was going to work.
Yeah.
Before, everybody selected items down in a basement.
Where you should pick out paint colors and everything in a basement.
You're picking out all of your things for your house, which at the time you had 5 cabinet samples, you had 5 floor samples.
Your 5 laminates.
Well, the laminates were the hardest thing because the ring
the Wilson ring.
Like 500 of those.
Yes.
But everything in a dark, dreary basement.
Mm-hmm.
And so they decided, because their competitor was opening one, that they were going to open just a little room in a strip mall by corporate.
Okay.
So Schrock Road.
Yeah.
And so I got the job right before I graduated, and part-time turned into full-time like right away. They realized that, yes, people really want to be able to see what they're picking out for their new homes.
Yeah.
And of course, this was before internet. So the more samples we could show.
There was a time before that?
I know. I know. So, just having a room with 20 samples of carpet and 10 wood samples, and again, all the laminates, and just being able to see it and then having somebody help them, it was a coup. So it just grew, and from there we went to Easton and built another one, and that was even larger and more exciting. And then, the internet happened.
Yeah.
It started getting a little more difficult from there.
Yeah, trying to help people pick things out.
Yeah. So I was at MI for 14 years.
Okay.
And then I left there and went to a design center that was for custom home builders.
Okay.
So numerous builders would use this facility. And so then we really had to start picking everything out from the grout color to the gutter color.
Yeah.
Because MI, it was selections, but not too detailed.
Yeah, in these categories.
Back in the day,
Yeah.
And then when we went to the custom home build design,
it expands. There's so many options.
So many.
Yeah.
Especially back then.
Yeah.
You just could pick out everything.
Yeah.
So it was fun.
Yeah.
It was really fun.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've been doing this for 20-ish.
Well, I just said a little while ago,
I know, a little while.
1994.
Yes. If you can do math, you can do the math on that one. So in that time, what is really your favorite thing about this industry that you've done, or a certain category, or whatever that would be?
Oh my gosh.
I know, there's so many of them.
Oh, there's so many of those.
Yeah.
I really like exteriors.
Okay, that's interesting.
So, yeah, I found once, again, you could pick stucco and brick.
Yeah.
But when you got to the custom aspect, if the subdivision allowed it, sometimes you had restrictions, sometimes you didn't. So when you didn't have to stick with the restrictions, it was really fun to just start to do more tumbled stone, like the real stone was coming back out instead of just the stucco stone.
Yeah.
And any color of stucco, any color of hardy plank, that was fairly new on the market.
Yeah.
So you could paint a house a deep blue or even the dark gray.
Yeah.
And so I really like exteriors.
That's really interesting because I find exteriors to be one of the harder ones for people because I think interior spaces are easy to envision, but starting to exterior, mixing different materials, I think that's people always struggle with that a lot more. I know I do for sure.
Yeah.
Just how the stones will look over here because in your mind it's all about the weight of things, and like stone has like a heavy weight to it versus a hardy board or whatever that is. So I think it's really interesting that's your preference.
Well, I call myself a psychologist.
Crazy? Okay.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
A psychiatrist.
Okay.
And because of having to help these clients walk in, they've never really looked at any of these things before. Again, it's before the internet.
Yeah.
So they couldn't just go on Pinterest and look at a picture that they liked. So model homes, friends' homes, those things were their inspiration.
Yeah.
So on exteriors, it was just really fun because when you set up the full-size samples on the easels, you don't really have to look past that because the samples were large and, you couldn't see it on a house anyways back then.
Yeah,
so,
that's true.
Yeah, it was a
Didn't have to
little
mock it
easier.
up.
It was usually a little easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So if there's one thing you could change about the industry, what would it be?
Oh, goodness gracious.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, it would be the internet. Can we go back to 1994?
Can we go back before the internet? I think the cat's out of the bag on that one.
Yeah. Being in the bath and kitchen industry and running a showroom, it's hard with the .coms.
Yeah.
And, people don't really realize that the faucets aren't exactly the same as what you're buying at a wholesale facility.
Yeah.
And you don't have, and sure, maybe the one particular faucet they did pick out is exactly the same that they're buying on Amazon.
Yeah.
They didn't have myself and everyone else that worked so hard to make a showroom happen. They didn't have our expertise. I've been doing it since 1994, so I have a little bit of background of how to help you select these items that work best for you. Not everybody wants the most expensive. So I know out of all of my brands, which there's a lot of brands, of what looks good for less, still better quality because it's a wholesale product, but I know. You have to trust us.
Yeah.
And it's not right that you take our numbers and
No.
just go buy it online.
Well, and I think it's the cool part of what you're able to do is take some things that are more cost effective and higher end things and be able to blend them together because this finish matches that finish from this company, and putting those together and getting the look of super high end without having to spend all that money. And that's something, the internet can't do.
Right.
I saw this new website recently and it's like dupes.com, and then you put backslash and you put whatever the sofa, so that powder barn sofa or hardware, and you put it in there, and then it scours the internet.
Oh my gosh.
And finds you the closest dupe. And it's probably coming from some
AI.
foreign country. I know.
Oh my gosh.
That AI. I know. So it's crazy that, as far as I know, there's no software out there that can do that, but that's why coming to you, and I've now known you for 10 years. I came to Columbus 10 years ago, and I knew a little bit about plumbing, but not enough to be dangerous. And it's all the pieces and parts too. People don't understand, there's a valve in the wall, but then there's the 30 other pieces you need to make that valve work.
Yes.
And, that information is so valuable that people just don't realize. And at the end of the day, is it worth saving $40 for? I mean,
right, exactly.
most of the time not.
And so many contractors, make that call and say, Tia, I know that you helped my clients with this, and I'm sorry, they took your numbers and they went ahead and bought it online.
Yeah.
But sure enough, they forgot the valves,
Yeah.
or they forgot the tub drain.
Yeah.
Or they put in a generic import tub that now there's no
overflow, and it doesn't pass code. Yeah.
Yeah. And so there's so many aspects that, yes, I really appreciate you, yourself, everyone that works at Haas. They just respect what we do. And it makes the process go so much better for the clients, because when you're doing a project, plumbing is that tiniest little aspect, and there's so many more things to come. And, if you can just make one entity a little easier, why not just do that?
Yeah, I know. And that's a lot of our business model, is trying to keep partners one or two at max, because when you're more valued to them, I can pick up the phone, you're going to answer my phone call, answer my text, because we have a good relationship. Good luck calling one of these online companies and getting a response back. And if it's some 1-800 person and they have no idea what value you need or this or that, and they're just looking at a computer, the same thing you're looking at, hoping it's right. I mean, there's been so many cases of, hey, we don't know if this is going to work, but we're going to try it this way. And we try it and it may not work, and we figure it out.
Yeah.
And that's just part of, building these relationships.
Yeah.
So there are times I wish the internet doesn't exist as well, because, we have a similar thing where it's almost information overload, where people are like, oh, I have this idea and this idea and this idea and this idea. And they're like, let's put these all together. Like, that's not really how this works. Like, we need to focus on one thing and then kind of go from there.
Yeah, exactly. And, back to the budget, sometimes I like contractors like yourself that give me a budget for the room.
Yeah.
So I can play with it.
Yeah.
I can, they really liked this lab faucet that was maybe a little over budget, but hey, maybe let's do this toilet that's a little under budget, so it'll help balance out.
Yeah.
They're not going to get that again with just going online. They won't know how to maneuver
how to move the money around.
Yeah, and how to move the money around. And so it really gets them what they want in a strategic manner.
Yeah.
So that's another point.
Interesting.
And warranty,
Yeah.
You have to, part of my day is answering my phone calls, of course, at work, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But,
do you wish phones would go away? Maybe that's maybe cell phones.
I like an email. I like an email.
Yeah.
That way I can research it.
Me
when
too.
I call my client back or email them back, I can give them all the info they need.
Yeah.
Because if they're calling about an old faucet they bought or something that they bought and they're having a warranty issue, I can look up that PO. I can send them the 1-800 number, and usually that takes care of it.
Yeah.
So, you can't do that with the online purchases.
No.
There's no PO associated with it.
And
a lot of these, thank goodness, are really good manufacturers are starting to need those POs.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's huge.
Yeah.
So that's really helped us quite a bit.
I found it interesting the other day. We're trying to open an account with a new hardware company, and I reached out and did an inquiry, and they're like, thanks, but we're trying to protect our other dealers in the area. You can go to one of them. Oh. And then I looked online and saw they sold on a .com thing. So I wrote a very nice email back saying, that's really funny. You want to protect your dealers because I can go online and buy it. Oh, is that really protecting your dealers? Which may not be the nicest email, but I do find, there are brands that come out. I know Breeza being one of them, that, they're doing things exclusively to you wholesalers, which is great. So then I don't have to worry about my competitor or anybody else going online and looking and saying, oh yeah, I found out at a cheaper price or this or that. So I find that to be a huge value, and would wish more industries would get into that. Like appliances, I would love if there were separate appliances for wholesalers versus online. Yeah. It would be amazing.
Yeah, there is. Brizo and Delta has definitely done that exclusive, and it's remarkable.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really helped.
Yeah.
It's really helped.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So if you had to give any advice to someone that's coming into the industry, struggling in the industry, what would some of the advice you would give to them?
Oh, that's a great question. So I would say going from my custom home build aspect into Worley Plumbing Supply. Worley was great, because I knew them from my MI days.
Yeah.
So I'd known them for a while. And they were really wanting to grow that residential business. They're really known for their commercial end. Jeff Worley does hotels all around the country, nation, world. And so the residential aspect of it was just a little smaller entity. So they really allowed me to help grow it. It was already doing great, of course, but just growing it more. So I went to them and I said that I wanted to join ASID. So I went to my first ASID meeting, and I was younger and I was timid. And even though I have a ton of confidence, it's always a little scary.
So intimidating
to
walking to this, not knowing anybody, and there's all these older people, and you're just you want to talk to them, but you're just so nervous.
Exactly. So I went to a couple. I would talk to people here and there, and then by the next year, I'd walk in. Everybody would go, Tia.
Yeah.
So, and there was now people that were my age and had a lot of knowledge. So they just really took me under their wing, and it was a great association to get my feet wet. And from there, I went to NKBA. And that's more of the design aspect. CEUs are a big thing that I really didn't know about.
Yeah.
So you can go to showrooms around Columbus through these organizations, and you can learn different training aspects, different product aspects. So, but the big thing is if you don't have access to ASID, NKBA type events, Instagram, everybody has liked somebody for a long period of time.
For sure.
And you can always reach out to that person who's not going to like a phone call saying, hey, I saw these pictures. I love it. Can I buy you a cup of coffee? I'm really interested in maybe getting into
as long as
the
it doesn't get too
stalker-ish.
then it's fine. Well, I've liked every one of your photos in the past day and a half.
Exactly.
And,
Be a little, a little more plain about it, a little more subdued. But I mean, everyone's going to enjoy that.
Of course, yeah. Similar. I used to live in Cincinnati and didn't really do a whole lot in the industry in terms of networking. And then when I came to Columbus, one of the first people I met was Amy Fix, who is now one of my longest standing employees. And she got me involved in NKBA. And it really was a catalyst to my career. I started on the board, I think, the next year. And then after that, I saw a value in national NKBA, becoming a 30 under 30. And that really changed my entire outlook for what I could do. Winning that award was
30 under 30. It's such a big deal, Tyler.
It really is.
It really is.
I know.
It just launched you from already being great to just people really knowing who you are and, being able to go to KBiz and actually talk and run your own discussions at 30 years old.
I know.
It's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing.
And the great thing is a lot of these industries now have really seen, hey, we need this younger demographic. So what can we do to reach out to them, to pull them in? And I think NKBA has been one of those great ones where it's like, hey, we see this missing mark. This industry is an older industry. We got to pull these people in and got to rally around them and help support them. And it is unbelievable how this has changed my career and what has happened in the years since. I look back, and that was in 2017. So in these 7 years, what I have accomplished.
I can't believe that.
I know.
I absolutely cannot believe it's been that long.
I know, it's crazy. Similarly, my first event, I remember where it was. It was on Fifth Avenue at a NKBA event. I remember walking in and just being so timid, which is not me by any means, kind of standing in the corner. And Meredith from JS Brown was the first person who came up and was like, hi, who are you?
Oh, that's so great.
And I will remember that forever. And I appreciate her just coming up and talking to me because I just needed that little bit of, hey. So, and now that I'm mid-30s, I hope, I can know somebody. So whenever I go to these events, I love just saying, hey, who are you? Who are you with? And just trying to bring people in. Everything's good for the industry. There's enough business for everybody now. I think a lot of people think, oh, if I go there, I'm with my competitors and all this kind of, yes, you are, but there's enough business.
That's actually who I talk to the most.
Yeah. Well, you can see their insight and, their day to day. I think a lot of times we're all in our own little bubble because we're so busy working. We don't get to see other people's stuff. Yeah. So being able to talk to them like, hey, what are you working on? Oh, are you having some trouble? hey, who are you using for fireplaces now? I need a new company. And just having those connections is so invaluable. And not only locally, but nationally. You know, a lot of my 30 under 30, I still talk to a lot. Yeah. And it is on Instagram. We'll have like these group chats, like 6 or 7 people. Hey, do you know of a company that does blah, blah, blah? Yeah. And we'll feed off each other, which is so great to have that kind of knowledge and access at your fingertips, being able to just talk to somebody like that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we have this great saying that we always say, don't burn bridges.
Yeah.
I meant because in this industry, I still work with people from MI. Yeah. They have moved and done, 5 different jobs since then.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden one day they walk in my showroom and they go, Tia? And, so it's just, you never know.
Yeah.
And it's just growing and growing and growing. And it's so fun to see these,
Well, it's very incestuous.
Yes.
If you know one person, you know somebody that's worked at every single place.
Right.
People have bounced around a lot.
And they open up their own businesses.
They do, and that's the great part.
They learned from MI, and then they opened a small remodeling company that's now a huge remodeling company.
Yeah.
So it's just... what comes around goes around.
Yeah.
So
it's really interesting.
It's interesting.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
I want to do a little shout out to Amy Fix. Hi, Amy Fix.
She's listening. If she's not, she's being fired.
Of course she is.
We're not vibing anymore, Amy. So what is your most awkward or funniest story from your career?
Oh, goodness.
You can use names. You don't have to use names.
Oh, wow. That is really hard. Well, I meant... Let's I work in I sell toilets for a living. Mm-hmm. High-end toilets, there are $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 toilets. So let's not forget that.
But we're all doing the same thing.
Yeah. So, of course there's always the kid accidentally went to the potty in one of our faux potties.
Yes.
That's going to happen.
Yeah.
That was on a movie,
that
everybody loves to tell me about that movie.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's real life.
Yep, that happens.
But it doesn't happen. It's maybe happened 5 times in my whole career through all of my different, locations. But I would say... Oh, dang it. Oh, okay. My dad. Okay, here we go. So my dad, again, I just grew up in a small town. So my parents are proud of all 3 girls, as they should be. And my dad always loves to tell the story. Like if he's sitting with someone whose daughter is a doctor or a dentist, or a lawyer or, going to run for president of the United States. My dad just loves to say, well, my daughter sells toilets for a living. So, and then the person gets a little awkward and then they have to say, oh, well, everybody needs a toilet, so I don't.
Yeah.
That's a hard one. I mean, it's so, I think husband and wives fighting in front of you
so awkward
is really the hardest.
Well, I think you said earlier,
it's so
being
stressful.
a psychologist, it literally is I feel like a marriage counselor some days.
Yeah.
Especially some of these people that leave and don't have a conversation beyond being in the showroom and then come back and you bring up a topic that they were supposed to talk about and they didn't talk about it at all.
Yeah.
And now you're in the middle between these 2 people.
Yeah.
Of them just kind of yelling at each other. And it's really awkward sometimes.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder, do you guys not talk at home to each other?
For sure. And you definitely know the people that are going to make it and not going to make it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it's vice versa. It's not always the guy being mean to the wife or the wife being mean to the husband.
Yeah.
It is really awkward. And I just, say, hey, I'm going to go get some water. Would you guys like some water?
Yeah.
And just let them be able to talk to whatever they need to get out, whether it's somebody didn't pick up the kid last night and it's still a reflection on that, or if she really does like that faucet and he needs to give in.
Yeah.
So I always tend to walk away, let them breathe a little bit, and then come back, make a funny joke.
Yeah.
Which when I was younger, I wouldn't make any jokes. I would just come back and be
awkward.
very nervous.
It's really hard.
But now I just, I'm...
Well, you've been married for how long now?
Yeah. Yep, soon to be 25 years.
I mean, relationships are hard, especially in a remodel.
Up, make a joke and say, so who won this one? And I always remind them that this, again, is a long process. Yeah. So you're going to win one. She's going to win one. They're going to win one, whatever the pronoun is.
Yeah.
Someone's going to win one towards the other.
Yeah.
So they just have to remember that.
And, I tell people during this process, like, this is going to be a struggle in your marriage. I mean, not having a kitchen, people don't understand not having a kitchen for 4 months and either eating out or, having to cook on the grill or using the Instapot, whatever, that is a struggle for most people.
Yes.
Where most people say, oh, we live in our kitchen. Well, when you can't live in your kitchen for 5 months, that is a struggle.
Yes.
And that's why we try to spend so much time the front end, like really planning this out so we can keep it as quick as possible. But it is a remodel. It's dirty, it's dusty, it's gross, it's loud. Some people work from home now. We cut off the internet and, it's just part of it. And I think it's preemptively telling these people from the beginning, you're going to be upset. You're going to be mad. It's a stress.
Yeah.
At one point, me and my husband's house flooded, and we lived in a hotel for like 2 months, and we decided to move back in the house before it was done, which was a horrible idea because we had no kitchen sink. I remember like doing dishes in the tub and thinking, I am a psychopath. Why am I doing dishes in the tub right now? We just need to move out of this house again. And we about moved out again, but luckily countertops were coming within 2 weeks. I was like, I can make it 2 more weeks, but it is a struggle from the beginning to the end. Whether it's selecting the stuff or actually in the project, it is a lot.
It's not HGTV.
It is not, no.
It's just fast forward, you come in the house and it's like, oh,
ta-da.
surprise.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Like, no, everybody's living in their homes unless you're really lucky and you can go to a hotel or to a family member's house.
Yeah.
But you're there. In it.
You're in it too. Yeah. And I think when you see it every day, you don't always see all the progress. There's so much stuff behind the walls that have to happen first. Like, it really is an emotional roller coaster. And you're like, why is this taking so long? And it's like, we got to get all the stuff behind the walls really good before we can put the pretty stuff out there. Yeah. If this isn't good, the pretty stuff doesn't matter in a few years. Yeah. We got to make sure the guts are good and then we can move forward.
And people, it's great. I encourage people to go in and watch all of that being done. Really understand how hard it is for all of these craftsmen to do each of their individual jobs. Yeah. It's really fascinating. Yeah, I did my house a couple years ago, and I really went in every night, even though it was kind of all closed up. I went in every night to kind of see the progress in a good way, just to see it myself and, live through it.
I think it helps you respect how long things take. Yeah. Like, wow, why is the electric $10,000? And then you start looking at it, you're like, oh, wow, they had to drill through every single 2x4 in a 10-foot run to run that one outlet. You're like, I just want one more outlet over there. That should be no big deal.
Exactly.
And they say, no big deal, but you don't realize what it takes to get that outlet there. Yeah. Same with plumbing. People are always like, let's just move that toilet. You're like, do you realize what it takes to move a toilet? You can't just pick it up and move it like a sofa. The guts behind it are so much more. And it's like, well, unless you want a pipe in the middle of your living room, or you can paint a stripper pole, that's the only way that's going to work.
Don't give people ideas.
Right, I know. Ideas. Don't use your plumbing stock as a stripper pole. That is not a good idea. That's not a good idea. Well, Tia, I want to thank you so much for
thanks, Tyler.
Being on our first episode of hopefully a very famous podcast soon.
I knew you when.
Yeah. We'll take you along with me. When I get the private jet and everything, you can come along with us.
Okay, that is on record. That is on record.
Yes. But no, this has been really fun. Like I said, I wanted to start this a long time ago, but I really feel like now is the right time to bring this out. So you're our first guest, but through this series, we're going to have different people. And I love other people's insight on this. Like, if we have other remodelers, designers, if you have a topic you love to talk about, just bring it to me. I love to talk about it. Again, this is to help people grow their knowledge base. There's so many ideas out there that people want to express. And if there's a platform like this that we can do it on, it would be so great. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. And if anybody has any plumbing needs, and remember, that's everything from kitchen sinks to toilets to everything associated, bath accessories, bath vanities. They can always reach out to me, Tia Kellner at Whirly.com.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us. This has been Designing Dreams in the Haas. I'm your host, Tyler Swartzmiller. You can find us on Instagram, Haas Studio Columbus, and Facebook, Haas Studio Columbus, or our website, haasstudiocolumbus.com. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Yay!
Boxland Media. Think big.